This is from a collection of short stories I've been working on. This one's called Lilies of the Valley. I stood in front of my mother's mailbox, a piece of folded paper in my hand. The house had not changed in a decade. I didn't know why I thought it would have. Then I looked down at my growing belly. 10 years ago, I got a tattoo of Lilies of the Valley. My mother's eyes filled with tears at the sight of it, my arms and neck completely covered. I knew I couldn't stay. So much time has passed, she had said. I understood the first one was in memoriam, but why have you kept going? You barely have any skin left. She threw up her arms into the air. You cannot let one event ruin your entire life. Then she started crying. Her beautiful upper-class daughter had become a freak, like the people she had always feared, the people that wore themselves on their skin instead of hiding it under layers of silk and Cartier. That night I packed my things. She thought I was rebelling, trying to fight social mores, but that was better than her finding the pink scars underneath the ink that patched my body. 2 years before that night, I received my first scar. A man late for work ran a stop sign. He was a normal man, family, kids, good job. When he heard that I had lost my baby in the accident, he killed himself 6 months later. There was a time where I too wanted to die. That's not what I told myself, but that was the truth. I told myself that something different, anything different would help me to forget. The small casket, the accident that stopped my child from becoming a bastard and me from becoming an embarrassment to my family. It seems the latter was inevitable. The man who ran the stop sign left a note saying that he was sorry. I wish I could have told him that I had forgiven him, that I understood it had been an accident. So I got a tattoo for him. It covered the left half of the scar that ran across my belly. I placed it next to the tattoo of the name Emma. It now read, Emma Forgives. But on that night before I left my mother's house for good, I wanted to write her a note. I sat at my desk and stared at a blank piece of paper. I couldn't tell her the truth. I couldn't tell her that I had spent a year of my life cutting my skin to see if it would bleed, to see if there was still life underneath it. So I just signed my name. That was all that was left to tell her. I would always be her daughter. I placed the note in a mailbox and spent that night in a laundromat. I was on the corner of the intersection where I lost Emma. I bought new lilies to refresh the vase the owner let me keep by the front window. I wrapped my arms around the vase and we sat at the window and watched the cars pass through the intersection, a rotating roulette through stop signs. The next morning I went to my favorite coffee shop. I was on my third latte marking want ads when a man sat down at my table. I had seen him several times before. He was much older than I was, but still handsome. The tattoo of a skeleton's hand reached out from beneath his shirt. He smiled at me. His eyes were tracing the lines of the lilies that collared my neck. I'm Mac, he said. He pointed to the newspapers in front of me. Looking for a job? I nodded. I own a tattoo parlor about 20 minutes from here. We're looking for a receptionist. Interested? I laughed nervously. He would tell me later that my lilies had turned red. But you don't even know me, I said. Your tattoos, he replied. They say enough about a person. I smiled. He pointed to my bag underneath the table. There's also an apartment above the shop. I've been trying to rent out the last room for over 6 months. It's a 3-bedroom, pretty big. Right now there's a cop. She's gay but has a girlfriend. I'm not sure if you're interested in that kind of a thing. I laughed. I'm straight, I said. He smiled, turning a slight shade of red himself. The other renter is an antique dealer. He swears he's straight, but I don't believe him. We laughed. I don't know what to say, I said. I started to tear up. How could this stranger be so much kinder than my own mother? He scooted closer to me. Please don't cry, he said. I'll take you by the shop, and if you like it, great. If not, I'll take you anywhere you want. Just, he passed me a napkin. Please don't cry. 2 years later, he and I got the same tattoo of a ring on our left hands. We wrote our story on what skin was left. Messages of forgiveness for each of our past failures, of acceptance for the new beauty growing between us. He knew all the words to the story of my tattoos by heart. I would read his at night while he slept, a dragon passing through fire and gaining wings, a phoenix with a key upon its shoulder, bones regaining flesh as they reached towards a doorway of light, the name of his brother Mikel and an infinity symbol written in vines over his heart. Our story was not about accepting each other in spite of what we knew. It was about loving what we knew. "Mommy?" asked my daughter from the car behind me. I turned away from my mother's house and mailbox. "Yes, baby girl?" "Can I have a juice box?" I smiled and nodded. I opened the piece of folded paper in my hand. It had only my new name written on it. I turned back to the house and thought I saw my mother in the window watching me. I wondered if she could tell that I was pregnant again, that I was laughing again, that one day soon I would like to tell her the truth and introduce her to her son-in-law, to her grandchildren, tell her that the tattoos covered my scars with messages of forgiveness. I opened the mailbox and placed the piece of folded paper between the bills. The customers that come into the tattoo parlor like to look at my tattoos. Some compare me to an art museum. They want to copy this or that design. But none of the tattoo artists that work here will draw any of my tattoos on anyone else. That would be plagiarism, they say. They won't even let them take pictures of me to go to another artist. I never asked them to do that. Some customers get angry and ask what makes me so special. She's not an exhibit, they tell them. She's not a how-to guide. She's a love letter. A love letter. Thank you.